And hello everybody, I hope everybody's okay and everybody's looking after themselves. Of course, it's Freedom Fighter here, and I hope you're all okay, and I hope you've all had an amazing day. We've got some amazing stuff lined up for this evening. I have got a fantastic documentary lined up for you on Broadmoor High Security Prison, which I know you'll find very amusing. And I've also, hopefully, we get some more people in the chat as well, and we can have a good conversation as well. If you want to contact me, you can on the usual method, which is my phone number. Or you can email me throughout there. And of course, it's a live chat support. And everybody's welcome in the room. Okay, and don't forget you can also use the comments at the side as well. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to jump in to the live documentary on Broadmoor Prison. So I hope you enjoy.
Broadmoor, a word that makes people shiver. Most think that Broadmoor is a prison. In fact, it's a high-secure psychiatric hospital and home to some of the country's most dangerous and violent offenders. After 5 years of negotiation, and for the very first time, the hospital has allowed cameras in to meet the men who live behind these walls.
Broadmoor's got all this bloody history about people being all these monsters here, basically. But you can be violent, but that don't mean you're a bad person, because sometimes you're not intending it.
Hello, Bravo 10, Denver.
One going to the Phoenix OC with Escort Radio Alpha 4, over.
The easiest reaction in the world is to see somebody that has committed something atrocious, label them as evil, want to lock the door and throw away the key.
I've probably actually never said the words of what I've actually done. I've never admitted it. It's still just a blur in my head.
I got born into a satanic family, very, very violent. In some cases it would have been better to have killed me than to allow me to have this abominable life that I've had.
With unprecedented access and filmed over a year, this series reveals the secrets of life inside Britain's most notorious institution. Broadmoor is perched above the Berkshire village of Crowthorne, just 40 miles from the centre of London. When people think of Broadmoor, they think of Ronnie Cray, Peter Sutcliffe, Robert Napper and Kenneth Erskine, some of the most dangerous killers the country has ever known.
The public perceive this place as, oh, that's where the Yorkshire Ripper is locked up, that's Rachel McKell's killer's locked up. Broadmoor is an institution of lots of people, but not all rapists, paedophiles or murderers. There is people in here for self-harming in prison. There's people in here for burglary who then got ill in prison. And there's people in here for very, very evil things. And their brushes with all the same brush, which they shouldn't do.
First built as a Victorian lunatic asylum for the criminally insane, today Broadmoor is an NHS hospital. Over its 150-year history, it's been a secretive and mysterious institution. Staff are under strict instructions not to discuss patients outside the hospital walls.
Thank you very much.
Many won't even admit to working here.
Close family members know that obviously where we work, But if we're in a normal mainstream, then you would probably say you work in a hospital or something. We don't really talk about the place.
And soon, if you said that you worked in Broadmoor, you'd just spend the whole of the day or the afternoon with a barrage of questions about the place. So it's just easier to say you work for the NHS.
They're told not to share personal information with the patients either, and to leave their private lives along with their possessions at the front door. Broadmoor's most notorious patients, like Peter Sutcliffe and Kenneth Erskine, have chosen not to participate. But many of the men here have been front-page news and are vilified by society. This is the first time they've been allowed to tell their stories.
I've done everything from taking hostages, multiple hostage takings, stabbings, multiple assaults, violent assaults, fire setting. I set a fire in a hospital, psychiatric hospital, the first one I ever went to. It was mainly violence, so my history is mainly violence.
Broadmoor's 200 patients are all men suffering from mental disorders. They're classified as vulnerable adults, and only those who have capacity to give consent have been allowed to talk to us. Their faces have been blurred to protect their identities.
What do you like when you're not on medication?
I'm quite a nasty person. I'm quite violent, or very violent in most circumstances. Very antisocial. I don't like spending time with people. Paranoid. I'm very paranoid. Every person is around me thinking what's their intention, and sometimes I come very close to attacking people because I'm thinking that they're going to do something to me, and I don't want to get hurt first. I remember one time without my medication, I spent, I think it was like 11 months locked in a cell, segregated, due to the fact that I was too dangerous to come out.
24-year-old Alex arrived at Broadmoor 7 months ago. He was serving a life sentence in a dedicated prison unit for highly dangerous prisoners. They could no longer manage him.
When I was younger, we chased a seagull all around my council estate, right? With a box, because I had a broken...
Now on an admissions ward, he's been diagnosed with mental illness and personality disorder and put on medication. One of his symptoms is auditory hallucinations. He hears voices.
I was doing a fruit salad the other day for an assessment. I had to do this assessment for personal motor skills, is like for learning disability. And I was cutting a mango, and I've never used a sharp knife. In the 7 years I've been away, I've not used a sharp knife, and I was shaking, literally. I've nearly cut my fingers off because the voices were telling me to attack the people in the room with the knife, and it was goading me into it. And I thought, I can't do that. So I managed to finish the fruit salad, and I felt, wow, like what achievement? Because most probably a year ago, 2 years ago, most would have done it, you know.
It's dirty. Everywhere is dirty. I must... No! It's dirty though.
No, we will clean it afterwards. But we want to give you bedding for now, yeah?
This is Cranfield, the intensive care ward, home to the hospital's most acute mentally ill patients.
Okay. I'll put Dr. Dylan with me. Can we come in? Sit on the bed for us then.
Any contact with them has to be carefully planned and executed. This is a 6-person unlock. The door to this patient's room can only be opened with 6 staff present.
Bullying, man. Bullying, man. Please.
There's always the risk of violence towards others. You have to accept that, they've got a chronic mental illness and they will be very disturbed throughout the day, but you have to learn to work with them. Our focus when working with these guys is actually telling them that they're here not because of the illness, they're here because of violence, and they'll only progress from here if there's a reduction in that violence. So that message, it might take time, but gradually over a period of time, it starts going through.
On this ward, even the most routine tasks run a risk of violence and involve a protocol. This patient has asked for a drink.
Just give us a minute. She's going to get a call. Okay? Yeah, Habibi. Shukran. Shukran means thank you, right? You know, you taught me all this. Right. I've got your name here. If you go sit down, no, the one at the back. Alright? Look, you need some more? I've got a house there for you, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Life in Broadmoor can be a game of snakes and ladders, with patients moving between the hospital's 15 wards according to their mental state. Patients who are responding to treatment can progress to one of the hospital's assertive rehab wards, where they're given greater freedom. Daniel is one of 12 patients on this ward.
I've been here 5 years. Luckily, I never went to a high dependency ward. I came straight to a rehab. And to be honest, it's been, I wouldn't use the word wonderful because it's not wonderful, but I've been grateful basically to come here. In my spare time, I try and engage in artwork mostly. This was my first real attempt at an actual portrait, all done completely in graphite. And then I moved on to using charcoal along with graphite. And the charcoal allows you to have so much more depth in the tonal quality. And then, yeah, I did a self-portrait. The whole picture was a statement about when I got locked up when I was 14 and I'm now 24. This is me at 24, but that's me back then, sort of thing.
Mental disorder is no respecter of class or education. Daniel was a 14-year-old boy at a mainstream school, and no one anticipated the violence of his attack on his own family. All of the men in Broadmoor present a grave and immediate risk to the public, and many have committed violent crimes, from arson to torture, rape and murder. Unlike a prison sentence, they have no release date.
I've been a bit of a conundrum for the psychologist, and I've had about 9 different diagnoses from 30 different doctors. I've had seminars about me done, I've had people wanting to write books about me, just because of the unusuality of my offence and my age and what happened. I mean, my family are my saving grace, to be honest. You know, they're hugely supportive. And what's even more amazing is that my offence was actually orientated against my family, sort of thing. So the fact, and what a lot of people see is that when a family member has committed an offence against a family member, they often disown them, sort of thing. You know, it's too much for the family. But they've told me that they swore they'd stay by me when I was christened, and they have, sort of thing. You know, they've always agreed I've had Asperger's. One of the problems I have is I'm not very good at understanding emotions, or if I'm feeling something, I don't always understand what it is that I'm feeling. But if I can draw it, I can get out these angry feelings or these frustrations of being locked up, or guilt or remorse, and all these negative feelings I can channel through this imaginative artwork, sort of thing. SB9. I probably actually never said the words of what I've actually done. I've never admitted it.
Absolutely.
Because I still get flashbacks. It's mainly guilt. I still struggle to bring it to mind. It's still just a blur in my head, and I've done such a terrible thing. That's one of the things that I've got to come to terms with eventually, is that I've done this, it's happened, and it will be with me forever.
We're not allowed to reveal the details of Daniel's offence.
Okay. The only thing I was wondering about was I sort of get problems with fine motor control and spatial awareness, things like that. Like bumping into things and dropping things a lot.
As you say, it's not one of the most common side effects. In fact, the opposite has been reported.
Daniel is taking medication and undergoing psychological therapy. These, together with everyday interaction with staff, are the cornerstones of the treatment here.
Have you noticed any benefit?
I don't really know what it is I'm looking for.
I have noticed a difference on you, not over the last 2 weeks, but certainly over the last 3 months. I think that you are much more able to spend longer time with people on one-to-one situations.
Broadmoor can feel like a ghost town. Patients can only move at certain times and in certain configurations, and cameras record where each patient is at any given moment.
Hello, Alpha. Over.
From Alpha 2 to Newbury Therapy with
The control room ensures that incompatible patients do not collide.
They're far enough away now, so you can carry on.
Patients who are well enough leave their wards to go to work, study, and even once a week go shopping. It's strangely like a village.
Have you got any wine gums? Wine gums? And then wine gums for nothing. There's a shop or not? Shut up. You shut up.
What's going on? You sure it's okay?
The freedom to shop is a mixed blessing. One of the side effects of medication is increased appetite, and many patients are severely overweight. However normal it feels, the reminder of the threat of violence is ever present. Searches looking for potential weapons are carried out before any patient movement.
This is stuff that we've retrieved.
Hi guys, I hope everybody's okay. It seems like it's crashed. Just bear with me.
Can aerial active pods beat you?
Hello. Hello. Can I come back on? No, it's crashed.